Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 5th, 2021 at approximately 9:58 a.m. PST. Well, I do apologize in a manner of speaking for yesterday. I try and get these videos out once a day, not always at the same time, obviously. But yesterday I had a particularly bad run of it because yesterday was not only my mother's birthday, but it was also the second anniversary of her passing. Right, which hit me surprisingly hard. I was not expecting it at all and just couldn't get focused on much of anything. That sort of side effect seems to have done some real nasty little things to the electronics in my house as well. As I mentioned before, my bioelectric field seems to interrupt the electronics around me. Okay, in this case, we're still debating whether or not I absolutely toasted my PS5. So, now, back to the world at large. Things are finally starting to lift as far as COVID goes. This does not mean that people should just forget what we've gone through. The last year and a half to 2 years has been an absolute, well, shall we say it's been complicated. Okay, and with that in mind, now it's time to get on with life and to reorganize things. And the first rule, in my opinion, is very simple. You follow karmic law. Be true to yourself. Do unto others as you desire them to do unto you. Energy out, energy in. Now, with that in mind, take a look at the way your life is. Are you content with everything about it? If not, right now, is the time to start altering it. Postponing the changes doesn't work well. Okay, all that does is postpone what you've got to do anyway. Now, I used to be a professional procrastinator. If I could put something off for a moment, I did. Okay, that doesn't work as well as you might think. But I now have two major goals in mind. One is quite literally my series of 12 books that is a science fiction, science fantasy saga. When it's done, it'll be 12 books, roughly 4,800 pages. I've written about a quarter of the story with one book out in publication, like with one of the novels out. The second one I'm aiming at getting done for this year. We're a quarter of the way through final proofing of it before putting it to print. So with that in mind, we are moving forward. But in order to do that, and if you've got any project at all, and you've got any goal, it doesn't matter what it is, okay, as long as it falls inside those three karmic laws, absolutely go after it. Do not let other people convince you that you're reaching too far. The way it was put to me years ago was shoot for the stars. You may only get to the moon, okay, but you still got past the horizon. Okay, you still got off the planet. Pick the goal. If you want to be, if you desire to be an author, an artist, a singer, an actor, all of these things. Granted, there is only a very small number of people that actually succeed. Okay, that actually become really successful at it. If my understanding is correct, about 1% of people that go after these industries make it really big. About 10% eke out a living on it. And the rest of them have to be doing something else on the side as well. So whatever you do, if you've got a goal, make sure you're taking care of the basics at the same time. This is why I said you start with wherever your work area is and you keep track of your finances. Okay. Get the energy running properly there. Now, I did it the other day, and I took this whole side over here, and it right now is absolutely set up the way I desire it. The calculator down here is just because of the fact, I've been using it today. But you clear off the area so that everything is running smoothly, because you'll find when the energy in your house is running smoothly, that saying that your mind will work a lot better and you're more adept at coping with all the things going on. Okay. Now, the idea I came to understand, boy, I'm stumbling over that a lot, aren't I? Understand, this is a live recording. Meaning, when I get done here, I double check, make sure I got the time right, and then I post it as is with all the hiccups, all the stumbles, all the quirks. It doesn't matter. That's just me. If you're talking to me, if you ever run into me in person, you'll find I do exactly the same thing. Okay. I'm not what you would consider the most politically correct individual on the planet, if at all. But I am, the one thing I will do is whatever I tell people, will be honest. You may not like the answer. You may find, I got told the other day actually, right after I did one video, that people weren't happy with the way I put it. And I'm like, okay, well, much as I would love people to be happy with the way I put things, it's not realistic to say that everybody's going to be. But I have been very clear, or at least I've tried to be very clear, that I will simply answer questions or I'll simply state what I'm seeing. Okay. And, simply put, if what I'm saying does not apply to you, don't take it on. Okay. Let's face it, by putting this to video, it's got the option of getting in touch with about 7.5 billion people. Now, I'm not going to make everybody happy. Okay, it's just not functionally feasible. Okay, but the reality is, and this is the message I return to pass on, working together, we can make this a better world for everybody. Almost everybody. There are always going to be people that don't see eye to eye, and in all fairness, I shouldn't say that. I remember one civilization centuries ago where literally there was no war, there was no famine, there was no jealousy. Yes, there was envy, but understand the way I came to understand the way I came to understand empathy or envy myself was somebody sees an artist that's done a really good job of a picture and they go, "Gee, I really wish I could paint like that." That's envy. And then you take that drive and you go out and you talk to people and find out how to paint that well. Okay. See, envy can actually drive you to better yourself. Jealousy tends to be the destructive counterpart of that, where you take a look at what somebody did because you're not that good, or because you're feeling that you somehow managed to look at that work and go, they're talking down to me, so I'm going to destroy it. Or they talk down to my ancestors, so I'm going to destroy it. Understand something. Destroying anything does not take away the fact it was built in the first place. It will not change. If you destroy the records, it does not change the fact that the events took place. Okay, all it does is destroy the physical record of it. Okay, and that doesn't do as much good as you might think. Okay, now in my case, I throw out a lot of stuff lately. I used to be a professional pack rat. Okay, so I've been getting rid of a lot of things I don't require anymore. And especially the things I don't desire to have anymore. But take a look at the way your home is. And understanding that the state of your primary living area or your primary working area is a reflection of your mind. Understand with that axiom, the state of your mind will also be reflected in the physical working or living area. So the trick is, it's easier to alter the physical world than the way that you see the world. Okay, so if your mind isn't working as clearly as you'd like, that's a signal that you might want to take a look at the physical area around you and see what you can do about correcting it. Tidying it up, making it look a little smoother. Okay, now if every individual does the same thing and takes the negative parts of your life and alters them so that you're more content with them, By doing that, if everybody does that, you get all these little pockets of positive stuff happening. And it will overlap, and net result, in the long run, and this is a very long uphill battle that no one person is going to do on their own. Okay, one person can encourage everybody else. And honestly, that is one of the things I'm hoping to do, is to encourage other people to take a look at their life and alter what they're doing so they can come up with a plan to make their life more enjoyable for them without deliberately hurting other people. Okay, now, clearly, I'm not going to reach everybody out there. Okay, because let's face it, I don't talk to people in the Congo. But the fact that it's already been calculated that everybody, there's something called 6 degrees of separation. Meaning, whether you know me directly, the odds are you know somebody who knows somebody down the road until 6 people later they know me. Okay, now with that in mind, the people that see this video, if you share the concepts with the people that don't see the video, and you pass that on, the message is still getting out and thereby can get to everybody. Okay, and that's what I'm actually aiming for. That's the one big goal I've got. When I started doing these videos, it was literally starting with, how do you take your life from where it is and alter it? Okay, alter it to what you'd like. And you know, this is just a stack of some of the papers that I've got to go through. Well, some of them. This one's already been done, so I don't need to worry about it. And this is literally what I end up doing when I finish with something I don't require. Okay, so I've got a number of sheets of paper here that are simply data that's got to be transferred over, which will be done today, because I want that stack cleared off my desk. Okay, when you take a list, and that's what this thing sitting right here is a list of different projects. And I've written it a little bigger this time because that's the way it worked. That's a list of things that I desire. Now, you'll notice with some of these, there's a little check mark at the end. That's because when I finish a task, I check it off and add something to the one below it. Now, I managed to get a fair chunk of these in. Okay. On this particular list, I've got 4 that I'm going to be working on today that are already written down. Plus, I got 4 more there. And all I do is write, and when I finish them off, check them off, and add another one. Okay. By doing that, what ends up happening is I get everything worked out that I need to. You know, that is required. Now, if we all do the same thing, first of all, your own home will run more smoothly. Second of all, you'll find that by doing that you'll be more adept at dealing with the stresses that are caused by the outside world. Okay, that are caused by things such as other people having a bad day. You know, if you're going out to a restaurant, if you treat the waitress decently, she has a better day, or he does. Okay, of course, if it's a he, you're dealing with a waiter. But they'll have a better day, and when they go home, they can have a better day at home. Net result, it has a shall we say, that's an excellent question. I drew a total blank on it. But it does have a carryover effect where you help that person. They can. Now, there was a show out a little while ago called Pay It Forward. It's the same concept. If you treat somebody decently, they'll treat somebody else decently. It carries on. If you desire to be treated decently, it is absolutely imperative that you treat other people that way. It won't guarantee that you're getting treated decently by everybody, but it does stack the deck in your favor. Okay, so I mean, when you look at that, if we work together, if we talk in terms of the positive things that are happening instead of the negative ones, we can spread a lot more beneficial energy around. Now, in case you hadn't noticed, the mess with COVID is slowly winding itself down. People are getting back into a normal rhythm. And because of that, the economy is going to start to climb. The drawback is that if people didn't get the message, we're still going to be promoting. And this is where it becomes your choice. You've got the choice of, retweet, repost the positive things in life, okay, or repeat or repost the negative ones. Okay, now, I'll tell you, before COVID hit, the place was rampant with who shot who ripped who off, who could embarrass who the most. Okay, and, quite frankly, I hope that does not come back. Okay, I would love to see people promoting who got married, who helped who, what people did to make society a better place. What have you learned from the mess that we went through for the last year and a half, 2 years? Or have you learned anything? It is up to everybody in existence to work together to make the energy on this planet run smoothly. And rest assured, if we don't do it, what happens is the planet itself will absolutely create chaos. Okay, I was watching videos the other day of what happens when Mother Nature gets really carried away and takes out a dam. And the floodwaters that hit the communities below the dam are absolutely devastated. Okay, now we require, as human society, we require energy levels. Okay, and hydroelectric is one of those systems. But if it is wasted, if it is treated poorly, and if people keep with the negative energy that they are putting out, it does affect the superstructure of the building, or in this case, of the dams. The odd reality of it is that you don't actually have to believe it works. It's like you don't have to believe in gravity. Okay, whether you believe in gravity or not, falling down still hurts. Okay, and the reality is that we have to realize that, let's just assume for a moment, okay, don't take my word for it, but if you haven't tried this, give it a shot. People talk about clothes making the person. Well, if that were the case, okay, then what you would find is that everybody in the military, everybody in private schools, or in industries like the post office that require a uniform, okay, all these people would behave the same. They don't. Therefore, clothing clearly is not what makes the person. However, clothing does alter the way that you see yourself and the way other people see you. With this in mind, and this is what I was referring to about you don't have to believe me, try it yourself. Okay, you yourself walk into any store, okay, into anywhere in public, dressed in grubbies, holes in your jeans, loose-fitting clothing, whatever. Just walk in looking basically like you crawled out of bed. And then on another day, walk outside into these same types of environments, dressed as neatly as you possibly can. And notice the difference of the way people look at you, the way people treat you, the way you feel about you. And I will tell you this, I know this for an absolute certainty. Now, I myself am not blind, but I have talked to people that are blind. And even for them, the fact that they cannot see the way they look when they get dressed, okay, the type of clothes that they wear, okay, does alter the way they feel. Okay, and the same applies to deaf people, where deaf really doesn't apply to what they are, what they're wearing as far as what they can see. But just because people have a physical difference to you does not make their reactions any different. And this applies to everybody, no matter what their skin color, what their orientation, what their financial background. People are all the same in that respect. I mean, you look at the similarities that people have. Everybody is born, even test tube children are born, they have parents. Okay, everybody is born, they live a certain amount of time, and they die. Now, the question isn't, are you going to die? Okay, and although it is a fascinating question on occasion, how are you going to die? The thing that is much more imperative, I've found, is how you live is what really matters. Okay, and by looking at how you live, and the whole trick to living forever is not to live for X number of years more than everybody else. It's what you leave behind, whether or not people remember you in a positive fashion, or whether people remember you in a horrible one. And the reality of it is this. Okay, people are, it would seem, slow to change. Lord knows I've repeated myself more often than I care to count. Okay, usually I try and keep it on a positive bend, but in case you didn't notice for one a few days ago, not always. But, like everybody, I do have points where I get frustrated. Sorry, comes with the territory. No, not sorry. It happens to be the way I am. Okay, now, from this point forward, okay, right here, right now, everybody's starting in the same place, right at this particular moment. Now, much as time is necessary for reference points, the only period in time that you can ever change anything in your life is right here, right now. Okay, if you put it off, all you're doing is delaying it. But when you get to that time that you've put it off to, when you go to make the change, it is still right here, right now. And I can virtually guarantee pretty much everybody prefers being treated nicely. Even if they don't respond immediately, people prefer seeing a smile on somebody's face, okay, as compared to seeing a frown. They prefer hearing a polite word from somebody as compared to being sworn at. Now, the one advantage, like around here, I don't know about around your area, but around here, the masks are now starting to be taken off. And the one advantage that I personally see in that is that people are now able to see people smile again. Okay, give it a shot, see what happens. Smile at a stranger. Now, the worst likely case scenario is you smile at them and they'll look at you and go, "What are you smiling about?" Right? You cannot alter the way well, that's not true. You cannot effectively change the way other people react. You cannot, most people just don't have the capacity to alter that. However, you can control the way you react to them. And taking just that moment out to bite your tongue. Okay, and I'm a bad one for it. Okay, but taking just that moment out to bite your tongue and ask yourself, does this require my response? Is there going to be any benefit to my responding to this comment? Okay, if not, you're probably better off not saying anything. And it's very much like I've told people in the past. If you're doing something, doesn't matter what it is, if you can stand up and proudly go, "I did that," okay, then by all means do it. But if it's something you're going to have to hide from other people, aside from the obvious exception of birthday presents, Christmas presents, pleasant surprises, don't tell them ahead of time. Okay, I know from personal experience, growing up knowing what was underneath the Christmas tree was no fun. I mean, I found it was fun. It was fun in as much as I enjoyed seeing the surprised look on their faces. Okay, but the reality is, when we talk about smiling, a smile is the one gift that does not cost anything except a little bit of effort. Okay, you can give it to as many people as you like, and it's the only gift I've ever heard of that nobody complains about when they get it back. You know, if you smile and somebody smiles back at you, nobody that I've ever heard of complains that they got smiled at, especially if they're the ones that started it. So, let's face it, it's inexpensive, nobody gets unhappy about it, and they don't complain and try and give it back and give it away. And if they do give it back to you, you don't complain. Okay, that is what is called a cost-effective gift. Okay, now I definitively agree that helping other people is imperative, and it is my absolute prayer, hope, desire, whatever word you want to use. Okay, or whatever word you desire to use. I really hope that the people that are in a position to help other people without hanging yourself up, and understand, missing a cup of coffee, for most people, missing a cup of coffee isn't a big problem. For some people, it's an absolute critical issue. There are people that are so addicted to coffee that without a cup of coffee, they have a migraine. I know of them personally. This is why I say I know they exist. The things I talk about when I talk about statistics, usually it's because I've been working in the consulting field since I was 10, professionally since I was 23, as in generating an income. Okay, and under my belt, I've got about 80,000 clients or so that are from private sector, business sector, or UFO abductions. Okay, so with that in mind, if you've got a question for me, if you have a comment about the videos that I'm doing, absolutely drop me a note either on this video or at one of the contact points below. Okay, in any event, when you do that, okay, I will do my best to get in touch with you to respond to it, either directly or possibly on a context as far as the video goes. Today when I get done, one of the things I'm going to be doing is setting up a schedule for myself on different key points to be dealing with. Because effective today, I've got to get organized on that part to get a little bit more consistent in the patterning I'm going for. If I'm going to get the energy in my life working right, I've got to get a little more organized myself. As do you. Now, with that in mind, because I keep these videos to the half hour, okay, I'm just going to say it one more time. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, okay, and share the daylights out of this, because the message is simple. Working together, we can make this a better world for all. Okay, absolutely necessary. Now, until tomorrow, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.